Oh, yeah, we're live. We are live. It's crunch time with Jeff and Lucas today. John Maakaron will be joining the show as well. And speaking of the man, the myth, the legend, look at John.
There he is.
Joining the program.
Buzzer.
Publisher of All Lions, of course, host of the Detroit Sports Podcast. He's figuring out some things right now. He'll be with us in a second. John, just give me the signal when you're ready. Just give me the signal when you're ready. We're going to cover a lot today. We're live. He's back. Look at him. There you go. There's John. How you doing, John? What's going on? Oh, can't hear. Can you hear him? Audio.
Hey, we can't blame me for TDing on this one.
No, he's got his bourbon, so he's good. Yeah, as soon as you get that, it's just some audio issues, John. We can't hear you, but everything else looks great. Probably just something with StreamYard. But we are live. We're here. We're going to break down the game this upcoming weekend, NFC Championship game. We're going to do it with John. He was there today covering the Detroit Lions like he does always for All Lions. And, of course, he is the host of the Detroit Sports Podcast. I got Lukas Klotz with me, the ball knower, to my, well, I guess it'd be to my left in the video, but my right. And we got a lot of things to cover. Jim Harbaugh, now the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. That's new news. But, John, is your mic working?
Oh, yeah. Like I told
there
you guys.
Go.
Listen, I forgot to push the button. You know what the most important button is? Turn it up on the mixer, of course, right?
There you go. That's all you need to do. John, how you feeling? I know you were down there. You were talking. I know the background, too, when Dan and Jared are talking. I can get used to that. This playoff football, the background. About anything interesting you took away? I've been so busy today, I haven't even been able to look at any of the media sessions.
Oh, man, absolutely. Yeah. National media in town. Dan Campbell actually said it. He said, who are all you people here? ESPN was there. National media, NFL Network was there. And Dan Campbell said he was asked, like, all this outside noise could potentially get to some of the guys. They're getting pulled left and right. All these national interview requests. Alex Anzalone was in the jungle, was on Jim Rome today. A lot of the players are getting interview requests. So naturally, a coach is going to have some concerns. But he said, look, we got a lot more to prove. And this football team is not going to settle just with getting there. They're going to put their best foot forward. And I think this is a big opportunity for the Lions, man. I can't believe we're talking tonight, 60 minutes away, Jeff, from the Super Bowl. My mind still can't wrap my head around the fact I'm going out to California Saturday morning. I can't wrap yet my mind around the fact that my eyes could see after the game's over, the Detroit Lions being in the Super Bowl. It's crazy. It's crazy.
No, it's been a crazy couple of days. Obviously, I haven't been able to talk about it for reasons unrelated to this, which I'll address later in the week, by the way, for everyone asking. But for right now, we're with John Maakaron. I'm excited, John. This is the best season in my lifetime. As a Lions fan, I'm excited. They get to face a historic franchise in the 49ers. I think it's a good matchup. I know people will look at the 49ers, including myself and Lucas, and all year we've been talking about them as the team to beat, them and the Ravens, of course. But I feel a lot more confident. I don't know about you, John, but I feel a lot more confident about this team on the road, especially what Jared Goff said today. I think offensively, they could play with anybody in this league. But defensively, there's where the questions lie, right? The red zone defense. This is a red zone offense in the 49ers, John. They're efficient, and it's the biggest test for this Lions team. And listen, they're farther than I expected, but I do give them more of a shot than I think many people nationally do, John. I do.
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm scared of run CMC like everybody else, but you got to go by the numbers, man. The Lions have stopped everybody. Nobody's gotten over 100 on them. And I just think the biggest factor early on is weather the storm early. I mean, you're going out there, the crowd's going to be rabid. The crazy part about the 49ers is they've lost the last couple opportunities to go to the Super Bowl. How much hunger are they going to have to finally get over the hump? The Lions are new to this. They're the new big dogs on the block. And but they got a lot to prove. I think this game has a chance to be a classic. And I was just thinking about it. I would love it if in the years to come, the Lions and the Niners, just like it was with the Cowboys and the Niners, a new rivalry that emerges where one year it's the Lions, the next year it's the Niners. Hopefully they establish themselves as the two best teams in the NFC. And like everybody says, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And what better way than to go out west, silence everybody out there. Guys, you guys are seeing it. 25% of the crowd is going to be Lions fans. Fans are taking over. Detroit is going out there to support. And, yeah, the 49ers, they present a big challenge. But if you can get to Purdy, man, that's the key. Put him on his ass. You got a chance.
And John, hopefully my Wi-Fi will be acting correctly now. Sorry about that, guys. But if that happens, you're gonna just kick me out or give you a signal when I'm all good. But John, you've been covering this team a lot longer than me and Jeff have been. What is it like being front and center, listening to these interviews, and being a Detroit Lions journalist? And the Lions are in the NFC Championship. Like, what is that like to actually, instead of being, okay, because at this time, you're pretty much doing mock drafts. You're like, okay, who are the Lions going to re-sign? Who should they acquire in the offseason? But the Lions are still playing ball on the biggest stage that the NFL has to offer. They're the night game.
Yep.
So what is that like covering it? How much of a difference is it?
Well, first and foremost, I respect you guys so much for having me. Love it. Crunch time. I'm looking forward every single time you guys hit to subscribe. When the notification comes on, I'm going to be tuning in. But guys, I'm just like you. I don't consider myself technically to be a journalist. I'm a podcaster. I wanted to use my voice to get my opinions across. In the last 5 years, the work I did with the boys to help me become a better writer has been tremendous. But I will always want to be known as a podcaster. I give my opinions. I do a lot of different things. And journalists, in my mind, not to disparage them, just sticking to the facts bores the shit out of me. And I don't want to do that. I want to have fun.
Point.
Yeah,
you're
right.
dynamic.
I want to have some fun,
dynamic.
Debate, have some fun with it. So in my mind, the 10 years starting the Detroit Sports Podcast and covering the team, it was all terrible. I've seen it all. You guys have seen it to the nth degree in the last 5 years, but oh my goodness, the disparage, the obviously feeling like you were the loser, like you were never going to cover a winner. It was terrible because it always felt like you were covering a dead-end NFL team. And it did get a little boring because it just kind of felt like you cover a team, a little bit of hope, and then they'd fall off. A little bit of hope the next year, then they'd fall off. Now, when you start, like today, Penei Sewell stood up in front of the media and said, you know what the locker room's debating? Which draft class from Brad Holmes is the best? 21, 22, or 23? What a 3-year stretch for Brad Holmes. And what a debate. I think that's really something to talk about because 23 is inching up on 21 real fast. But I'm just excited. Every time I turn on the microphone and I figure it out, I just am passionate because it's uncharted territory for me to cover a team where in the regular season, they won 12 games. Yep. And in the postseason, they're at home, my eardrums busting out with all the decibels, having a good time. And it just really does feel like welcome to the NFL, Detroit Lions. Welcome to the NFL, all the podcasts and journalists covering the team. It just feels like we belong. We can talk about X's and O's and competing with the big dogs. We're talking about the 49ers, a team that in 1989, I grew up starting to watch as they battled the Giants and Hostetler going back and forth with George Walsh and all the history with Joe Montana and the transition to Steve Young. For the Lions to be in that category right now with a realistic chance to win and go to the Super Bowl, I couldn't be happier. I'm on, like I said, I'm wired, man. I'm going nonstop, covering it and talking about it. I can't get enough.
You got the bourbons rolling all the time.
Yeah, the
cheers,
bourbon,
boys. Cheers. Let's go.
The bourbon speaks volumes. Like that tells you how hard John's working. John, I want to ask you, speaking of this being one of the bigger tests, the biggest test for the Detroit Lions, it's also a big test for this run defense, in which I think we know it's the strength of this defense. It's been the most consistent thing all year. You take away, obviously, running quarterbacks and what Fields has done. This run defense, one of the best in the NFL, they have their toughest test to date with the offensive player of the year, that most likely, the best running back in the NFL, Christian McCaffrey. Me and Lucas talked about this. Christian McCaffrey against the Dallas Cowboys, he didn't have his best game early in the year, and we know Dallas and what the Lions kind of struggled to run the ball against Dallas. My point is Christian can be contained. It doesn't seem like it over the last 5 games he's been on fire. How do you think, in comparison for this Lions run defense, how do you think they'll match up with Christian McCaffrey and your confidence in at least containing him? Take away what he could do in the passing game, but just strictly on the ground.
Oh, man. Look, the story of Run CMC is real interesting in that, like everybody else, I would gravitate towards him, draft him in fantasy. Then he'd get hurt. And I'd just be like, what the F? I mean, then I drop him. And then he gets on that stretch where he has 20 games in a row where he scores a touchdown. So my run with him was terrible. And I look at it, what a player. I mean, Run CMC, when he's healthy, one of the best around. And you just see his explosiveness, the grittiness that he's got. The big question mark, and I think it's legit to talk about, can he finish this game? If the Lions are physical and are violent, there's a chance he doesn't finish this game because of the fact that he's always dealing with something. You know, it's just tough. That position is such a brutal position in that you're going up against some big dudes that are trying to hurt you. But you got to give the man credit. That offensive line is stellar. And I really do give credit to what Kyle Shanahan and Lynch have built. I was a big fan of Lynch, obviously, in his days from Tampa Bay. I mean, you just thought he was a prototypical football player. That guy, when you think of John Lynch, you think of football. And now with Kyle Shanahan and the lineage that he's got with his father and with the Broncos and all that, and now him taking over an offense and really building where the 49ers are at, Run CMC is serious. He's a serious threat. But Aaron Glenn, I think that now he's emerged as somebody that can put together a plan to limit the explosiveness. And look, CMC is going to get his. He'll get, a couple yards here and there. If you can definitely focus on the tackling and make sure that you bring him down, limit the yards after contact, you'll have an opportunity. I think he'll get his. He'll near 70 to 100 yards. He'll have an impact in the red zone. But, man, when you look at the Lions, let's get serious here. Aleem McNeil handling his business. Maybe James Houston will make his debut. It's up in the air, but it's leaning toward that way with another week of practice, full participant. And being that he keeps saying he wants to get out there, I think that eventually the Lions will pull the trigger and make the move. But, I mean, with James Houston, it's just going to be a situation in which maybe third downs and clear blitzing situations or clear pressure situations. But I love what the Detroit Lions have done. The numbers dictate they haven't given up a 100-yard rusher, and they're stout. That defensive line loves pressure. And I know everyone nationally is going to talk about the 49ers linebackers, but give credit to Alex Anzalone and Derek Barnes too. They've come along, and they're definitely, along with Jack Campbell, going to make it a very long day for Run CMC. If you can hit him, make it tough. You never know. He might just end up being a guy that's getting his quad rubbed on the sideline instead of handling his business.
Yeah, that's such an awkward sight to see coming back from the commercial.
And I got to hit the pause button on that. Lucas, I'll go to you in a second. But the reason why I brought this up, and John nailed it, if the more opportunities, or the more if you more often than not can put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands, I think that favors the Lions. I think that's got to be the game plan here. If you could stop the run game, make the one-dimensional. We've seen Brock, and me and Lucas, we give credit to Brock Purdy, what he's done all year, and I think no one would argue that you have the more experienced quarterback. But the more pass attempts you give Brock Purdy, and the more times he drops back, Lucas, you could speak on this, I like the Lions' chances.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. I think, to kind of John's point, there's been no James Houston, and Aaron Glenn, he's bringing the pressure off the edge with the safeties. And the Lions, they have 4 safeties. Kirby obviously is not a guy you want sending off the edge. He's a cover guy. He covers a lot of ground. He's a zone coverage guy. He can make tackles, but that's not who you want to send off the edge. But you can send C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brian Branch, and Ife Melifonwu to get in there and put pressure on the quarterback. And especially when you got a DB that chirps like C.J., if he can go in there and create pressure on Brock and make him uncomfortable, that's when I think we could see the Lions defensively start to make plays, because I think personnel-wise, with being able to have those 4 safeties and even Alex Anzalone in pass coverage, that I don't think they match up ideally against what the 49ers do, but I don't think they're completely outmatched like everybody makes it to be. I think on the perimeter with Cam Sutton and Vildor, okay, now I'm here, and I can see why you have an argument. But outside of that, the defense in the middle of the field, which is where the 49ers flourish, I think the Lions have guys to create plays against Purdy.
I agree.
No doubt, Lucas. I think the defense, when you look at it, CD Deuce, we got to get him back on the media train. He ain't happy with the media. He loves Broder, but the media doesn't love.
Who doesn't?
I mean, today, because typically, you know what? And just to give you guys a little insight of what happened today, it's crazy because you got Jeremy Fowler, world-respected ESPN journalist. You got Stacey Dales. They're kind of making their way to CD, and we all know that, since the situation with Baker Mayfield, he ain't happy with the media. He's a little grouchy. He's been like, step off, people. I'm not talking to any of y'all. And they kind of creep up to him, and they're like, hey, you want to talk? And he's like, step off. I want you guys to get out of here. I'm not talking. Respectfully.
They didn't know what they were getting into.
Step it off. I'm not down with the media. And they're looking at him like, really? Stacey tried. I give her credit. She's like, really? You don't want to talk? And he's like, I'm not down with the media right now. I'm going to talk Friday. And we got to get him back. He ain't happy with the media. I tried. I go up to him and I said, listen, I'm not going to take anything out of context. I'll use every word of our 2 questions. Nope. Went about eating his DQ chicken and got his nuggets in. He's all good. He's all good. Why
you gotta love him though. Like he's just so real. Like it's just like he's gonna keep the same energy.
Keeps it real. Keeps it real.
Yeah, and John, to the point about CJGJ, we know one guy on the 49ers. Let's just say he's not fond of, right? We could just say that Deebo Samuel, not a huge fan. I would safe to say CJ Gardner-Johnson. How do you think, how big of a loss would it be for the 49ers not to have a guy like Deebo? Because me and Lucas, I think what he does, not just who he is as a player, but yards after catch, that's a detrimental loss, John, if they can't get Deebo to go.
No, look, I know that they said that Deebo today was working on the side, didn't practice, but I would be shocked if you don't see Deebo Samuel out there. He's a dog. Like, Lucas, ball knower, Jeff, you know what that guy can do. Yep. That's right. And that's why I think CD also didn't want to talk, because he knows the doc's going to be like, so remember that feud you guys had back in October? What do you guys think?
Yeah, for real.
He knows. Friday, I think he said he's going to do his official talk with all the media. But man, CD, listen, in the end, Deebo Samuel, it's interesting in that the man has been used in such a variety of ways. You see how he lines up. Man, guys, if the Lions stole something from the 49ers, that turbo motion with Deebo Samuel, it really opens things up. It lets people see kind of a little bit what your defense is doing. And I just think that Jameson Williams would benefit a little bit from some of that usage like Deebo Samuel. But you got to be careful. Another guy, like we all know Deebo Samuel is legit, but 2 guys you guys definitely need to be worried about, and everybody in Lions Nation, One Pride, got to be worried about George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. Those 2 are Purdy's blankets. They make his life so much easier. If Kittle gets that momentum rolling, he's got that Kelsey type mentality of, I'm taking this over. Oh, you got this hot young stud in Laporta coming out here to flex on us here at Levi Stadium? No. That ain't happening. He's going to do his thing. And the Lions, have had the pass with tight ends. So you got to make sure that you don't let those 2 get you, because I think Samuel with that shoulder will be out there, but I don't think he's going to be the full Deebo Samuel this week.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way. When I look at Deebo Samuel, obviously they do different things in the run game, but it's a lot like how the Lions use Amon-Ra, in my opinion. Like if Deebo goes out, it's a lot like the Lions losing Amon-Ra, especially because that's Goff's guy that when he needs to make a play, that's where he's going. He's going to Amon-Ra. And obviously we see Laporta a little bit more. And if the 49ers need a play, they're going to Deebo. And if they don't, they're going to George Kittle. And to your point, George Kittle, not only is he a great player, he shows up at the most important times. Every time there's a Monday night, Sunday night, or playoff game, George Kittle has some of his best performances of the year. So to your point from earlier, they need to tackle George Kittle, because that's where George Kittle hits you. He'll hit you on a little 90, we'll call it a medium, like 17-yard crosser route. But then it's 52-yard gain because he breaks 3 tackles. He makes your safeties look like kids, and he's just got all the momentum, all the energy. And then that's when Brandon Ayuk comes in. That's when Christian McCaffrey. I think obviously stop Christian McCaffrey, but with Deebo not being 100%, I think they have to worry more about Kittle than Deebo this week.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You guys notice on the road, the Lions have played well. They got to weather the storm early. I think, having the official be Clete Blakeman definitely is not the best. He loves to throw the flags. It's not going to be the same like it was at Ford Field. You're going to get situations in which Hutchinson's going to be manhandled, and you're not going to get as many calls. But the Lions, Dan Campbell has this team ready. They've seen it all. And boys, Zach Ertz was in the building today.
I just wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, don't know if he's going to be elevated, but man, he gave off that bro vibe, man. Like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to glob on and hang on and see what these boys are about.
Hey.
Yeah, the bro vibe.
I don't know if he's ready to glob on it. I think he's ready to get out there, though.
He's ready to get out there. Yeah. You guys are, get your mind out of the gutter. You guys are so.
Honestly, when the feeling around Zach Ertz being in there, is there a thought that, okay, he could be going this week, or do you think it's better just to assume that probably going to be out if they make the bowl, which we all hope and expect? he'll be out there. But what's the
man? It's tough. Look, Tyson Alualu gets signed to the active roster. He's been one of the guys that's been elevated along with Jason Kabinda. You look at it. You signed the new offensive lineman as well. I would maybe lean toward that, because Dan Campbell just hasn't been somebody that's just been willing to just take somebody off the street and 2 days later, how's that going to work? Because if you have a miscommunication with Zach Ertz and the ball flies a certain way, you could have a turnover. So I would be surprised if he gets called up. I think that maybe they reserve him for the biggest of big moments. If it happens, you get an opportunity maybe to get some insights and some advice for Sam Laporta. And I think insights being that he played with the Cardinals, he understands a little bit of what that 49ers defense is going to look like. Yeah. And any little tidbit that you can get having a former player that's in the division, I think that gives you an opportunity. I think his value a little bit more in the locker room than it would be. I mean, he's still a stud. Zach Ertz made plays, but he's 33 years old. I just want the ball to go to Laporta. And I think this game, when you look at it, you don't need offensively, you don't need much more than St. Brown. You need Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Josh Reynolds. That's a fearsome foursome that I don't want to limit those targets. I think all those guys need to eat. And anything that goes to Zach Ertz takes away from what I think is one of the best players in the league in Sam Laporta. So I'm leaning toward no, but at the same time, if he is out there, if the opportunity presents itself, I think some plays that the genius Ben Johnson's got, get excited because the man can handle his he knows how to use the weapons that he's got. But I want to see Jamison. I want to see that deep ball. I think pull it out, man. Whip it out and whip out Jamison Williams and handle his business.
Hey, John, you're riding the wave. Hey, but John, I want to bring up something you just said. You mentioned Laporta, you mentioned Ben Johnson. The more I think about it, you look at position groups, the Lions, I know the 49ers are, you could argue, one of the most complete teams in football, but I could argue at left tackle, Penei Sewell, Trent Williams. At wide receiver, obviously the 49ers have plenty, but if we're just going with Ayuk or Debo, you have an Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have a Sam Laporta to a George Kittle, right? You have an Aiden Hutchinson to a Nick Bosa. Like, you go position by position. The Lions, even though they are very, very young, as a roster, people are like, man, the Lions are here? Wow, they're better than we expected. They can really go toe-to-toe, John, position by position. And at quarterback, I don't think anyone would argue, and you lose that argument, you have the more experienced quarterback, and it seems like it's not Jared Goff, it's Jared Cool, because he's cool, calm, and collected. He's not even phased this week. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the Lions match up. Literally, when you look at this matchup, it's two teams built the exact same way. Yeah, it's amazing when you realize that the Lions said, okay, we need a premier edge guy like Nick Bosa. You got Aiden Hutchinson. You need a nice, solid running back that can elude tackles. Frank Ragnow told the media today that the cut Jahmyr Gibbs made to score that touchdown, one of the best moves he's ever seen. Sick.
Jahmyr Gibbs, I said it after that. I think besides Christian McCaffrey, he has the best vision in the NFL. Like, there was multiple times where I was like, oh, this is probably going to be no gain behind the line. And Jahmyr Gibbs makes a cut, now it's a 4 or 5 yard gain. And he's falling forward every time. I mean, to your point, it was just insane.
It was insane. And he's just a rookie. Could you imagine what's going to happen in the future? Oh my God. You recognized Kittle, you got Laporta. And Jeff, you said it. In big games, if Jared Goff plays clean, if Jared Goff lights it up, he finds St. Brown to extend drives, he gets into that rhythm. A little bit of a concern that should make everybody a little bit nervous. What's the impact of the loss of Jonah Jackson going to mean to this team? Awosika's good, but he's not Jonah Jackson. You've seen what Jackson brings to the table. When those guys are healthy, dogs, they just handle business. They make Jared Goff super comfortable. The disparity in numbers is so sick that it's crazy that when Jared Goff is protected, arguably best quarterback in the league. When he faces pressure, the worst quarterback in the National Football League. Can't evade, he can't move. Like, I think everybody last week when Goff got the 8-yard, 7-yard run was clapping in awe. Oh, yeah. The man moved forward. He shuffled his feet.
I was like, there is a guy.
And the QB sneak.
Exactly.
He was getting loose out there.
and he's Goff's going to talk again Friday. I got to try to find a way to word the question in regards to, look, he's made being a pocket passer cool again. Like, look, Joe Montana-esque in terms of find the open receiver, don't make the critical mistake, find the receiver in the right position at the right time. Shanahan called Goff one of the most accurate passers he's ever seen, and he's playing at a high level. I just wish that he just had that little bit more athleticism where if he sees that pocket break down, we don't need him to go for 20 yards. We just need you to get like 6. He trips over his own feet. It's like it's so awkward to see the man run. It's like, can you just I want to ask him, like, hey, obviously you've made being a pocket passer. Does it bother you at all that people still only talk to you about moving on and talking so much about being a mobile quarterback in this league? Because everybody still to this day doesn't want to pay Goff big money because they want to see Hooker or they want to see Lamar Jackson. And it's just crazy because we're missing out on some of the best quarterback play the Lions have ever seen in terms of not making the mistake. Goff deserves credit. He's limited, but if he balls out, guys, you got one of the best scoring offenses in the league that makes plays late. If they can figure out that third quarter, we're golden.
Yeah. And John, I'll tell you where I'm coming from with the Goff stuff, because for a while there, and I said it, Goff to me, I called him the Mackinac Bridge of quarterbacks. That's what I called him verbatim. and now that we've gotten to this point, really what's helped change my tone on Goff is seeing him win games and he be the reason you win games. That's, to me, especially in the playoffs, that's been the difference. Like before, I'm thinking, guys, we'll get to the playoffs. I'll judge this man by the playoffs. I think that's how you should judge Jared Goff. If you're talking about a future contract extension, but watching that game against the Bucs, watching their inability to run the football, watching Jared Goff step up, make plays, and he did it against the Rams as well, and they didn't run the football great in the second half. To me, I'm looking at this like, okay, you can win with this guy. You can win with this guy. And I think for me, I'm beyond the point of should you pay him or should you not. I'm with paying him. I think you have to. It's a proven commodity for a team that's only ascending. The worst thing in the world would be to get rid of Goff, welcome in a Hendon Hooker, and there's regression. And then everybody's pissed, and this whole thing, it deflates like a balloon. So that's where I'm at. I'm with Goff, and I want your just confidence level, because you're all right about the offensive line. This team will go as far as this offensive line will take them. That is a fact. And I think with Frank Ragnow banged up, thank God he played again. That was, I thought he was out. I was worried. I was sweating. Jonah Jackson, it's a tremendous loss. It's bad for the Detroit Lions, but still, at least you have Frank. What's kind of your confidence level with this offensive line? Because you're right. If Jared's protected this game, they're going to score points. But boy, if they can get pressure, if you can't run the football, now we're talking about a recipe for disaster potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be key. I think that clearly Frank Ragnow, one of the most gritty individuals in the history of football. I mean, if you don't come off the field with a fractured throat a couple years ago and you're just dealing with all this stuff, he's a gamer, man. He just wants to get out there with the boys. He'll be out there. You recognize, okay, if you're going to have a situation in which you know that you're going to have issues from the left side, you can scheme up some things to kind of protect Jared Goff. And boy, what better person than Ben Johnson to be able to, hey, early on, the Detroit Lions are going to need to run the ball. Just establish it a little bit so that you can get the play action. This is going to be key, I think, with this offensive line. When you look at those linebackers that the 49ers have, obviously you don't want Nick Bosa to feast on Jared Goff. You go right up the middle, man. You go right behind Frank Ragnow, and you pound that rock with Montgomery as well. Don't forget about David Montgomery. I think that there's some times where unsung heroes emerge in games where we're all thinking Gibbs and St. Brown and Williams. You know what? Give the ball to David Montgomery. Let the man eat early on, and I think you'll get some rewards. Because, look, over the middle, the short passing game, those linebackers can wreck it. Arik Armstead, oh, my God, he could cause some damage. You don't want to go at him. You don't want to go at some of these guys on the 49ers defense, who everybody says probably the toughest defense the Lions faced since the Jets last year. Better than the Bucs. They're stout. They're aggressive. They're violent. So that offensive line, definitely you're going to need Penei Sewell to handle his business and make sure that Jared Goff is protected. But they've done it all year. And if they go out there and handle their business and you get this offense rolling, the momentum, I think one of the early key things is if the Lions get the ball first, that's golden. You don't want the 49ers getting the ball first and taking a 7-0 lead. At home, you get a little bit of momentum. You get some of those bullshit calls that these refs want to be doing. And you recognize you don't want to get down 10-0, 14-0 on the road. You want that ball first. You want to score that touchdown, and you want to keep it moving. Get that crowd out of the game. Get your fan base going. And, I don't know. You guys see Razzle Dazzle from Dan this week? It's been kind of contained, taking some points. Do you see some punts? You see Jack Fox getting in there? You see? I feel like Dan wants to do it, but at this level, when the national media and the whole world's going to be watching this game, if he tries that from his own 45 and it goes wrong, he's going to be scrutinized to a level that he's never been before, because the whole world is going to be watching on social media and commenting. And he also made a little mistake at the end of the game against the Bucs that Todd Bowles, for some reason, let him off the hook. That's a bad mistake coaching wise, to not get your boys to bleed the clock out. That's a bad coaching mistake. You don't want some of that. But I think Dan Campbell will be on point. But I feel like he's got that aggressiveness, like maybe second half onside kick, some crazy shit that he's going to try, some crazy stuff he wants to pull out in a big game, because he knows that any extra possession for his team could help. But I wonder, does this come down to kicks? Does this come down to something we haven't thought about right off rip?
John, let me ask you this, and Jeff, I want to hear your thought too, because I know I already kind of talked about it with you. But do you think that Ben Johnson because this is what, honestly, I think the game could come down to if both teams are playing to highest levels and it's a close game. I feel like, especially in the red zone last week, they got too cute. Like 3 pass attempts at the 2-yard line was making me lose my mind. And then thank God it worked. But you bring Craig Reynolds in on a 4th and goal to run the ball when you have David Montgomery. Now, I'm not trying to disrespect Craig Reynolds by any means, but you have David Montgomery. Okay, so do you think that's probably what we'll see again, where Ben's going to try to get a little too creative, or do you think that Dan's going to kind of be like, we're going to lock it down here? Because Chris Collinsworth, even on the broadcast before that 4th down play, I think it was the 3rd down play, he was like, you know what? I think Dan Campbell sees where Ben's going with this game. He's going to say, F it. We're going to run the ball. That's what got us here. And then they came out in an empty formation. So sometimes I'm scratching my head, but do you think that almost works for the Lions' strength?
Yeah, it was weird to hear Amon-Ra St. Brown be like, Craig Reynolds is not supposed to be on the field. Everybody was like, you're Craig Reynolds. Everyone's like, why is he touching the ball?
and I wasn't mad at it, but I was just like, why?
Why? And in the red zone, things are so complicated, man. There's such, moving parts, and you got to have everything click, especially with the less space out there. But I think when you look at the red zone, yeah, absolutely. The strength of the Detroit Lions is the offensive line. But at the same time, these coaches understand that they know if we line up like this, then the defense is going to respond. So that you get into that, well, I know that you know that I know this, so then we're going to try to, get into that where, maybe a little bit of a play fake and get it to Laporta. But listen, at this point, the coaching staff has earned our trust. I know we always say, well, what if all the bad stuff happens? What if all the good stuff happens? What if a little bit of an end around? What if you do a little bit of a trick play here or there? You have Amon-Ra St. Brown get the handoff, direct snap to Gibbs. There's so many things this football team has at their disposal that it's great to see. I wonder, do you guys see this as a high-scoring game, or do you see this as a game that's a tight defensive battle? Because I could see it both ways, where it's just like, okay, F it, no more defense, up and down the field. Or at the same time, the defense is like, okay, all the talk all week has been about Goff and Purdy and Debo and J-Mo. Let's lock it down and let's have a 17-14 kind of game. It could be tight, but at the same time, my eyes want to see a high-scoring game, but I'm thinking potentially Lions 2017.
Go ahead, Jeff. I want to hear what you have to say.
John, I got to respect John's time. John, you got to get out of here.
No, I got about 5 minutes. I'm good.
Okay. All right. So for me, and guys, I don't know how this is going to register. I think there's only one way I think this game's going to go. It's going to be a blowout. Either way.
Lions blowout?
Either way. I think either the Lions blow out the 49ers or the 49ers blow out the Lions. That's just my opinion. That's what I feel like is going to happen. One team, and I love the 2017, the 49ers played a close game last week, but the 49ers are coming off a game like that. The Lions are coming off a game where they couldn't necessarily run the football. Both teams need a get-right game, and it could be a shootout, but I do think this game could end ugly for one team, and hopefully it's for the San Francisco 49ers. That's how I see it happening. That's my hot take.
I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a close game regardless if it's low scoring or high scoring. Now, if you're asking me which way do I think the Lions win, I think they win if it's the low scoring game because they have the more experienced quarterback, and I think he will have ability to control the clock more in big situations compared to Brock Purdy. I still think I was very high going into Brock Purdy into these playoffs, really not worried. But last week against the Packers defense of all defenses, and I know they made the Lions look bad at home on Thanksgiving, but consistently the Packers defense really hasn't been like that. And the 49ers have all those weapons. And if Brock still is able to struggle, I think if the Lions are able to make Brock uncomfortable, to what we said earlier, I think the Lions will win that game. But if it's going to be a close game, that's how the Lions win. If there's a lot of points being put up, I just think that's when the upper echelon talent kind of shows up, because it's just going to be in 4 quarters. But if you keep it close, I think that's when the Lions can do it. That's when I think we see Jameson Williams on an Ambry Thomas. That's when that matters in those crucial points. But I think it's going to be low scoring if the Lions win. And obviously I'm hoping the Lions win. So that's where I'm going with it.
All right. Before I get out of here, look, boys, you guys are doing great work. You guys have passion. I can see it. Look, Jeff, I know you had that $8,000 a month makeup budget. And sometimes at the beginning of the month, people look at that and go, we can't have some of that. But listen, whatever your situation is, betting on yourself is never a bad thing. I did it the unconventional way. I podcasted for free for 5 years before an opportunity came. And doing it on your own or doing it with any help, you boys are trailblazers with video, with the opportunity. Lucas, your video was hilarious. You had me on my ass laughing. I had to actually listen to it because there were some things I don't think I could have aired on my platform with some of the stuff that you were doing. But look, I'll say this. When the times are tough and you're thinking, okay, it's a grind, hit that record button again. Do it again. Because listen, if one person doesn't want to pay for your makeup and hair budget, the next person will as well. Don't worry. You're doing good things. The opportunities that I see for you guys is the sky's the limit. And in all honesty, I wouldn't turn on the microphone or figure all this out, put this grill on video if I didn't believe in what you guys thought about what you're doing. So cheers to you boys and whatever you got going on. Jet fuel in my pocket, jet fuel in your pocket. Let's go, boys. Let's get out the Lions.
Let's do it. That's why you're the
cheers to you boys.
Love you, John. I want to say thank you because you are the one that has stuck by my side. You joined the morning show. I've loved having you on, and for you to hear you say that, man, it's amazing. I do. I appreciate you more than you know, John. You're the man.
Listen, boys out there, stop in the comments. Tell the boys how much you support them. Like and subscribe. All you got to do, that's how I did it. If you just tell everybody, Purple Prince, Steve, Nicholas, I know you love me. What's not to love? All you got to do, just tell one person, hey, there's these boys grinding. Just one. Tell one person, and you grow exponentially week after week. That's how these boys get to eat and do their thing. And listen, whatever happens, these boys are talented, and you need to know they're next. These are the next boys in this era. So let them do their thing, and don't hate. Don't worry what's happening.
John, you got me blushing.
Let's go. Do your thing and get after it, and let's go Lions. And listen, if they're in the Super Bowl, hit me up, because not only will I have one glass, I'm going to have 2. We'll go. And you see how I am with one. You get me with 2, I'll start talking about people. So we'll go. I'll tell you what I think about the people that sit next to me.
Hey, that's the John we need. See you, John. Appreciate you. You're the man. Thanks, John. Oh, my gosh.
Bro.
John got me fired up.
Yeah, he just got – but, he's right, though, man. Not to, pat ourselves on the back, but we are. I think this channel is – if you saw us before and where we were at before, you get to see what we actually want to say. What we obviously could say it, but we had to go about it in a certain manner. And now it's like we have 100% control over what we want to do, what we want to say, and how it's dispersed of. Yeah. And right now is the very base level of what we're doing. It's only going to get better. We're only going to up both studios, content, everything. So it's just going to get better from here. So if you're here right now, hit the sub button. And we appreciate you more than anything, because it means a lot seeing this much support after where we're just at. Because it's obviously it's nerve-wracking going from a big network and you're like, am I really going to be able to keep doing this? And me and Jeff, and there's going to be other people too, we're all banking on ourselves, man. So we appreciate all you guys.
And it wouldn't be possible without my brothers like you, Lucas. I love you, bro. Yeah. Booner, Michael Gentry, and even John Maakaron, and John is a guy, he's very special. I love John. And you love him too. We've always said John's on Thursday. Let's rock.
I'm there. He's the man, bro.
He's such a great guy, man. I do. I appreciate it. And by the way, I've been reading the comments while we've been doing the live stream. I have read all of them, and I love you guys too. All the people that support me, supported me from the beginning of my career till now. It really does mean the world, because like John said, even on days where you might not feel like it, you get in front of the camera and people like this in the chat showing love to us. It is everything for us. So again, we appreciate the support. We're ready to go. For all people wondering about me and in my current status at Woodward, I'll get into that more. Trust me, I'll get into that more. I don't want to spend too much time on it now. John kind of teased it because we have Lions to talk about, baby, and I want to focus on Lions. But don't worry, I'll handle that at the end of the week. I do appreciate the support. All the people that currently are becoming members as we're talking.
You guys are the fucking you don't understand. Like each member that it just pours gas in the tank, baby. Like we want to take this thing to be the top news source in Detroit sports, and we want to do it for a reason because Detroit sports has a culture like no other. Because Detroit has not had a winner in so long, so the people that are here, and they're not fucking leaving. So those people. There's no everybody in Detroit. Like I live in Toledo and I lived in Detroit for about a year. The people in Detroit are fucking real. They deserve content in the best way. And I don't think Detroit, at least from my short exposure, from what I could see, has been covering them in the right way. So now there's an opportunity and a platform to be covered the right way. So we just appreciate all you guys. It just keeps fueling the fucking dog.
And by the way, this name is crazy. Cocksnut.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
Crunch Time with Jeff and Booner memberships. That is a W. W for Cocksnut. I can't believe I'm saying that, but he got me saying it. He's gifted membership, so I appreciate you. That is a great gesture. And Lucas and me have always talked about doing stuff together. Obviously, Booner will be a part of it at some point. And then we have Michael Gentry behind the scenes, and we're gonna have people on like John Maakaron. We'll be doing live streams as well. Like I'm already thinking of stuff in the future. For example, NFL draft live stream. I'll be going live during the NFL draft.
I'm going to be boots on the ground. We will
be there.
Any Detroit, especially Lions event, especially next season. I'm hopping in. I won't even go to the games. I'm hopping in the car. I'm traveling to the stadium. I'm getting content of the Detroit fans there. Yes. The NFL draft. You better believe my ass is going to be down there covering the draft, getting good footage to send back, and we're just going to blow this thing up. So
let's do it. And we're going to get a more specific streaming schedule kind of put out. We're going to be going live at a certain time every single day. So stick around for that. That's why you should subscribe and like the stream. So you could be ready when that all gets announced. We'll have a everyday live stream time slot and everything. We'll have content. We'll be talking about all sports. I see Sean Murphy's in the chat. We'll be having him on to talk Pistons. We'll have all types of people on this platform because, again, it is our platform. So we can do whatever we wish with it, and we have the people that we love supporting.
Awesome.
That is all that is all that matters. But John said some great things, man. I mean, like, where do I start? Like, he's just like me and Sam always talk about it too. Sam Flannel. It's like the guy just can carry 15 minutes. Like, there's not people that can do that. Like, that is hard to do, by the way.
And it's just it's information. It's not even like sometimes I'll ramble and I'll just try to be comedic about things, but he's just like facts. And love him or hate him, the man knows what he's talking about. He does not come from an ignorant point of view whatsoever. The man is in Allen Park, so it's great having him on the show.
Yeah, shout out DJ Devo. That's a capital V, so that's like some DeVito-esque.
Devo.
Is that Devo or is that a different?
Devo.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Look at Nicholas Earl. I'm all the way with y'all. Man, I appreciate that, Nicholas. Seriously, all the support. Steve O, baby, you guys are the dream team. Look at that. Just gonna get some of these comments. Look at Adam chiming in. Love you guys. Love to see Lucas again. Miss him on WSN. Look at Danny G. Showing support. Like I seriously, Eric, he says, got your boys' backs. Oh, man. Shout out.
Love
Steve,
you guys,
I want to drink with John. Look at that. Who doesn't want to drink with John? Dude, he's drinking some bourbon. What a legend.
He's getting the second one going right now, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Like Brian.
He's getting in the lab right now. He's
in the lab.
His articles, they're all bourbon fueled.
And so this is a Jeff and Lucas thing now. No Booner. It's actually all of us. All right. So it depends on, like, me and Lucas we're doing today. We're handling today. So everyone will be bouncing in and out. That's what makes this great is it's with Jeff and Booner, but it's a team. It's a team of guys that have one goal and we're going to accomplish it together. So
think of it like McAfee. Like there's McAfee, but is it really just McAfee? No, they got AJ Hawk, they got Darius Butler, they got all the boys there. That's just the whole envision behind it.
Yeah, like that's all it is. I mean, Lucas is doing his content. You can follow him on Twitter, and he's got his at Lukas Klotz with a 1 as the L. He posts his own stuff, so everyone's doing their thing. Look at this. Lloyd says, "LOL, is Booner leaving too?" Well, I'm not going to speak on anything like that. I'm sorry about that. That's on Booner's business.
Hey, the GOAT, JB Smoove.
JB Smoove.
JB Smoove's in here. The man, the myth, the legend.
JB Smoove. I love JB. You love JB too. JB is the man.
Rock.
The man. Fire content, proud of you guys. I'll stay tapped in whenever you guys go live. My guy, JB, we love you. We do.
Yeah, that's why you got to make sure, even at Woodward and stuff, obviously, we're just saying you got to keep supporting them, because guys like that deserve the love, and that's why it makes it so hard to leave places like that, man. I mean, those are our dudes. I mean,
absolutely.
I moved an hour away from my house, and I was like, yeah, it doesn't sound far, but just with my situation, it was definitely taking a risk. And they took care of me like family, especially like Kool-Aid Man, JB, Flannel, all those boys. I know there's a lot of Flannel trolls out there, but he's a good ass dude.
Yeah,
he's got a heart of fucking gold. He's just passionate about his sports takes. That's all. Doesn't have the most strong-hilled arguments, but he's got him. He's ready for it. He dies on those hills.
He has them for sure. Ryan Shaw, I support you guys. Appreciate you, Ryan. You're the man too. I do remember all these people. Lions Troll, you guys deserve it. Like I know all you guys especially from the morning show. So you guys are some real ones. Some real ones. Look at Jordan. Klotz left a gassy, aggressive fart at WSN. That is true. That is absolutely true.
Can't lie. I was cooked out here last night, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw my clip last night, but I told Jeff, because I'm working a 9 to 5, and I was like, I'm driving for Amazon right now. Okay, I got to pay the bills. So I'm driving for Amazon, bro. Those shifts are so long. You're just getting in and out of the car. You're running. I was like, ooh, I need to sit down. I need to smoke real quick. And then I was like, Jeff was like, we're on a court. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, God. Just.
Yeah. when I saw that video, I was dead.
Bro, the comments under my post had me weak.
That was hilarious. It was hilarious. I want to close it off. We got about 13 minutes here. We're gonna end at about 8 o'clock.
I want to get into some more ball for sure.
Yeah,
had a nice little sentimental moment there.
Yeah. I wanted to clear some of that up. I know we'll get into it later in the week just to speak more in depth. And again, I wanted the focus to be on what we're doing now. I don't want to go back and bring up. I'm not a drama guy. I hate it. I just want to focus on what we're doing, and I love the people that support us. But right now, let's get back to football.
Yep.
Jim Harbaugh is the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers.
I was just about to bring that up.
And by the way, I know it wasn't like I was the only one, but I called it.
Yeah. Especially you. I remember when we went out for New Year's Eve, and I was like, I don't know. And you were like, you see the agent you just picked up? Pete Carroll, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're all NFL coaches. Yeah, but here's my question to revolve around that.
Yeah.
You see, who just got hired yesterday before with the Titans? The Bengals offensive.
It was Brian Callahan.
Yeah, Brian Callahan's gone now. And so he's going to the Titans. That's like not a dream job, but it's definitely a solid place to start coaching. And then you go to LA, you got Harbaugh. Pete Carroll's still on the market. Bill Belichick's still on the market. There's some noise around Tomlin. I don't think he's going to leave. But where does Ben Johnson fall in all of this? Because it's like if those three, if you got Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, and I know I'm missing somebody else, but if those guys all get signed by the time that Ben, Mike Vrabel, that's what I'm missing. Mike Vrabel. If they get signed, I mean, if there's not a desirable spot for Ben to go, he really doesn't have a reason to leave. You know what I mean? He's still been a year and a half as an OC. He can still pick up another year under his belt with the same players, put on the same exact show, because the Lions are just going to get better. They're an organic rebuild. He might stay. You never know. You never know.
And I think if you're Ben, you put in 2 years of having one of the best, most efficient offenses. Like I do think he's built up a resume to be like, hey, if I want to stay here and compete, like let's say they fall short this year, or hell, they make a Super Bowl. I think you have an argument if they win a Super Bowl, because then you'll be like, well, he's like, I won a Super Bowl. Let me go become a head coach. But if they fall short and he's like, I want to finish the job in Detroit, I wouldn't be shocked if he returns. I mean, Aaron Glenn, I know me and Adam Baydoun, he just joined the chat there. He doesn't think he doesn't think Aaron Glenn will be a great head coach. I tend to disagree. But there's a real thought, Lucas, going into this playoffs. So like, yeah, you're going to lose both coordinators. There's a chance you keep both. Like I don't know what to think at this point. I don't,
because just by the time it wraps up, and even if I don't think there's a way to lose both. They might lose one. Obviously, I think Ben Johnson gets a job before Aaron Glenn, but I don't think at this point that they lose both of them. I don't see a way, because who's really going to want a defensive? Like, let's think about the vacancies right now. You got Carolina.
Yep.
And then who else? That's what I'm trying to think of. You got Atlanta, New England. No, New England's already done. Gerard Mayo. Who else? We're missing some for sure.
You said
Drop in the
Gerard
chat if you can think. Drop in the chat.
You said the head coaches that are currently hired.
Yeah, like the spots where they need. Seattle needs somebody.
Seattle. Let's see. Seattle needs a head coach. They just filled the Chargers job. They filled the Titans job. Washington. Thank you.
Yep.
Washington, which is a big job, by the way. Great job.
Yeah.
I think Washington's the big one.
So there's 4 of them. So yeah, I don't think there's a way that there's going to be a way that they lose Glenn and Ben Johnson unless somebody gets fired late. But I feel like if you're a team whose season is already wrapped up and over, you would have done that. Hey, it's time to get out. Like the Bears committed to Eberflus already. You know what I mean? Like if Eberflus was going to get fired, he'd already be gone. And I don't know how many coaches are left on the hot seat. So there's 4 spots. You got 3 elite head coaches there. There's no way they lose Glenn and Johnson.
If you're Washington too, and you're going to get a rookie quarterback, and you're most likely going to get a Drake May, you want Ben Johnson. Like that is like the hire.
But does Ben Johnson want that? You know what I mean? That's where it's thinking. That's where my whole thinking is. It's like, okay, yeah, Ben Johnson can have one, but there's going to be vacancies next year, and there's going to be vacancies with better quarterback options, with more proven quarterback options. So why don't you just keep getting better at what you do and just perfect your craft even more?
If I'm Ben Johnson, I sit back, I wait for Sean McDermott to get fired, and I take that Buffalo job.
That's me. What would you do if you were Buffalo? Honestly, I know we're a Detroit show, but that's like a big thing.
You look at Buffalo over the last handful of years. Did you see that graphic with Josh Allen's cap hit, what it's been till now? No. They had these prime years to capitalize in a window with Josh Allen's cap hit being at an all-time low. This year or next year, it kicks into $48 million.
So that's when they start getting hoed?
That's when they're starting to get hoed. So they missed their opportunity when his cap hit was significantly lower. That, to me, should be like, all right, this dude, like, what are we doing? I mean, you made an AFC title game, you lost, and you haven't gotten past the second round since. To me, I fire Sean McDermott. It's over. I'm not doing this again. I'm not running it back again. Stephon Diggs is unhappy. I got to keep my players happy. Josh Allen is a turnover machine, and I don't think he'll ever change, but at least you got to go get an offensive coach.
That's just his play style.
You got to get an offensive coach. If I'm Buffalo, I get rid of Sean. I pivot right to Ben, and I say, Ben, you have an opportunity to come coach a guy in Josh Allen that could use your help, one of the best in the league. And again, we need you to help us go, take us over the top. And I think, Ben would be intrigued by that. I do, because Buffalo's a good organization. I just don't know if they fire Sean. They could keep him. I do.
I think they've already committed. If they would have fired Sean, I think they would have been doing it now because you can bring Vrabel in. Could you imagine if Bill Belichick went there? I know he's a defensive guy, but if Bill Belichick went to Buffalo, one, it would be like a fuck you to New England for one. And two, and that's the exact reason why I don't know if he would do it. But if he were, nobody in the AFC East is stopping Buffalo. Not a soul, because you got Joe Brady there. I like him a lot too. Their OC's nice. That's another he could be like one of those next Bens in my opinion. He's a little bit more in the run game, but he can definitely do it. Shout out Easy.
Yeah, shout out to Easy, by the way. He said he shouted us out, man. Love you, Easy. That's my guy. That's our guy. He's a real one. He's always had the boys back.
He kept the roof over my head when I was up there, so shout out him for sure.
Hey, that's it.
He would say he might have gotten into a little drunk argument the other night over text. No, that was so funny, bro.
Hey, would you be boys if you didn't? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we made up like 5 minutes later. Just
like yeah, dude. Like, look at Lloyd chiming into the Bills argument. He says the window closes next year. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I think Diggs is gone. I do. Did you see what Jair posted for the Packers?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let me read this comment. Let's get into it. Because Klotz, I'll hear you out. You made a hell of a case. Sean says Josh Allen feels like the Giannis of football, such a unique and dominant skill set that you have pressure to maximize. Yeah, he's so talented. I know people. It's one of those things like Neil Rule, good friend of ours. He thinks Josh Allen's overrated. I think he's great. I just think you have to accept what comes with him, which is turnover.
That's exactly what Brett Favre was, and Brett Favre is a multi-time Super Bowl champion. You know what I mean? Like there's some players that live and die with playmaking, and when Josh Allen turns it over, he has the ability to literally go down the field the next drive in 30 seconds and make up for it, whether it's with his legs or with his cannon of an arm that he can chuck it 75 yards in Buffalo, of all places.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people don't take that in for consideration. The passing efficiency and the stats and just all the production that he's producing is in Buffalo. I mean, besides Jim Kelly, when have they ever had a quarterback? It's like Cleveland. Like, those conditions are not meant for a quarterback to thrive in. So the fact he's doing those things, like, let's relax. Let's relax a little bit.
Yeah, like it's the give and take, right? Like he's going to give you 14 interceptions a year, but he's going to account for like, I don't know, 6,000 yards. So like you gotta kind of give and take. It's like he's gonna account for a majority of your TDs, which I do think is a problem in Buffalo. I think they're too Josh Allen dependent. That's just my opinion. It's been like that the last couple of years. I thought they were gonna go one way when they got James Cook going, but hey, it just ended up going back to Josh Allen when it counted. So that's always
and shout out Jordan Schaefer. Yeah, you're right. Favre only won one. That's my fault. But yeah, man, he was still a hell of a quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback, piece of shit human being, that's for sure. But he was a good quarterback in the NFL.
I want to mention real quick too about the Jim Harbaugh stuff. I think this is a home run hire for the Chargers. I think this is a home run hire in many different ways. Number one, the Falcons were calling him back for a second interview, so the Chargers were like, yeah. We're going to get this deal done because the Falcons were going to hire him if they didn't hire him. And I think I've said this before. I think Jim Harbaugh is one of the best football coaches on this planet. That's my opinion. Because of what he's done in college and in the NFL. It's hard to do that, to win at both levels, to coach the NCAA, to deal with all that BS, and to win a national championship. You know, be one of the one of the more better teams in the country. And then prior to that, he's in the NFL. Prior to that, he rebuilt Stanford. But we're just talking about in the NFL, multiple NFC Championship games. Got to a Super Bowl, lost to his brother, like all the success he's had, the record he had in the league. The Chargers, to me, if I'm Jim, this was the obvious job. That's why I picked the Chargers, because why not? If I'm Jim and I know I have a short window, why not go to the situation with the best quarterback? I'm going right to Herbert because I see what my brother John's doing with the Ravens and the success he's having with Lamar, the MVP of the league. Like if I'm Jim, I'm like, I want Justin Herbert, even if the rest of the situation, guys, and everyone told me, Jeff, he's not going to go to LA. That situation, the cap, they're like 40, 50 million over the cap. Guys, Justin Herbert, 2 words. That's why he's in LA. That's why he's interested. And you know why? LA probably promised him, hey, we're going to get your boy to be the GM as well. So go get somebody you're comfortable with to run this thing. It makes sense, Lucas. It's great.
He has the help with that factor. And the thing that's so underrated about Jim Harbaugh is how much of an organizer he is as a head coach, where he can just tighten up everything. Like Michigan for so many years was like they had the guys, but they just needed to tighten up overall as a program. The Chargers have dudes everywhere, but it's just like with the untimely penalties, just you could see they were not a unit. Jim Harbaugh will go in there and turn them into a unit. Not only does his GM have a great idea of who's coming out of college, but Jim Harbaugh was just the national championship head coach, and he played and had to coach against the best talent coming out of college football. So he knows, like, hey, he's looking at the Chargers roster. He sees a hole. He's like, you know what? I just coached against a guy who would be really good to go up against that and draft him. They have a chance with the Chiefs kind of being at a little bit of downgrade right now because, I think the Chiefs will get better on the offensive side of the ball, but time is only a factor on Travis Kelce. I'm sorry. You can kind of see that he's still an elite player, but there's going to be a matter of time till he starts to drop off, and that's been Mahomes' number one guy. It looks like that's going to turn into Rashee Rice. But Travis Kelce is a first ballot Hall of Famer. So the Chiefs offensively are going to be vulnerable. Jim Harbaugh is a defensive wizard. When he was in San Francisco, one of the scariest defenses I've ever seen in my lifetime. So if you can bring that, especially when you have Derwin James in the back end, they're going to be turning up. They're going to be making plays. And I think they're going to be a legitimate contender right away, in my opinion. I think it would be hard to deny that.
Yeah, you look at the division, Andy Reid, Sean
He's going to bring Corum to LA too, by the way. There's no way he keeps Eckler as the number one back. They're going to get a legitimate running back right now. No, and I'm not saying Corum is. They might go get another one, but Corum or some type of – he's going to find his Corum in LA. That's going to turn into a run first team, I bet.
Yeah, and they're going to bring Jesse – I'm assuming he's going to bring Jesse Minter. I think that's a given. Like, I think Jesse Minter goes with Jim. I just do. I think he's his DC. I would say book it. I'm confident because that's an NFL-level defensive coordinator. He obviously coached – with the Ravens. Now he has an opportunity to become a defensive coordinator at the NFL level. He'd be a perfect fit. Now, OC, and this, and I let me see who commented this. I think it was easy. Let me just mention. This is a great comment. I want to see who his OC will be. That I'm curious about too.
I'm surprised Kellen left, man. That's the one where I was like, everybody's like, Ben's going to LA. I was like, no, they're going to do Kellen Moore. I'm surprised he dipped out of there, especially, if I'm Kellen, I'm trying to hit up Jim. I'll be like, hey, let me be here one more season, but they're definitely going to bring somebody in because I don't think Kellen fits what Jim does whatsoever.
Yeah, they're different. Like Jim's more like pound the football, fundamental, like some creativity, but mainly just pound the football, old school fashion football. And then you have Kellen Moore, where it's like, okay, we're gonna. It's like a wizard, and he's like
he likes airing that bitch out.
Yeah, no, it's not. Now you have Justin Herbert. Does that change? I don't know, but you at least have one of the best.
That's what protects Herbert, though, man. I mean, imagine if you didn't have to worry about Herbert slinging it 70 yards on you every play. And you had a legitimate if they got themselves their David Montgomery, that would take so much pressure off of Justin Herbert, because even their tight ends like Donald Parham and Gerald Everett, I mean, those are nice tight ends to have, especially when you have Keenan Allen. I don't think they're going to bring Mike Williams back, especially I know they re-signed him, but bring him back as like a number 1, number 2 option, I should say. Quentin Johnston doesn't look good on him, but Josh Palmer now. My boy Josh Palmer, you know how I feel about Josh Palmer. I mean, those guys, I think he's going to maximize everybody's potential on that roster. Yeah, he absolutely. I mean, Justin's chiming, and he's that's our boy Justin Slanigan. You guys know who that is. A resident Chargers fan, by the way. Some would say he's a Gibbs hater. I didn't say it. I will. He is a confirmed Gibbs hater. He still calls him a bust to this day. That's I don't know why. You see, he has glasses on in that photo. But Justin, have you been wearing them watching the Lions games? He's got a fresh cut, though. I will say that he's got a new fresh cut. Let's see. Chef talks. My guy Chef. Shout out. He says, Jeff, is this where we'll find you from now on? I can watch this with no flannel Sam. Well, by the way, dude, he hated flannel. Chef hated flannel, bro. And hey, everyone has their own preferences. Yes, this will be where me and Lucas will be live, Booner, Michael Gentry. So this is where we'll be, or I'll be, at least for now. I'll be here. So if you need anything from me and Lucas, it's on this channel. Subscribe, like the stream, and we appreciate you, Chef Talk. Seriously. Here we go. Oh, look at Justin's. He goes, look at. He still has a lot to prove. No, he doesn't, bro. Look at, maybe you need some glasses. He's just a Gibbs troll. He's a Gibbs troll. He wanted Gibbs in LA. I love Justin. You know what was the funniest part? When I went down to when I was downtown for the Rams game getting content, this guy called out. Justin's my videographer the whole time, the cameraman making everything happen, and he hates Riley Patterson. And this guy, he hates Gibbs and he hates Riley Patterson. The guy calls the moonshot. He goes, this game's going to come down to Michael Badgley. I don't know why I said Riley Patterson. It's going to come down to a Michael Badgley kick. And Justin went nuts. And what do you know? Michael Badgley, 54-yard field goal. That kick made me so much more confident in this playoff run. I'm like, if Michael Badgley is knocking down a 54-yarder, something's going on. The moon blessed the Lions that night, and they took it with them. Hey, he says, don't even say Badgley's name. The Money Badger. The Money Badger. You know how I feel about this. We had some arguments, Klotz, early in the season about the kicker situation. Badgley proved it. Brandon McManus. Badgley, you know what? He shut me up. You said if this, we even went through the situation. Game-winning kick. Game's on the line. Who do you want, Brandon McManus or Michael Badgley kicking the 55-yarder? I said, give me Badgley. Give me Badgley. Give me Badgley. Ball nowhere. Yeah, okay. Hey, well, I guess that's why they call you it, I guess. Hey, look at this one. Justin, if the Niners game comes down to a Lions kick to win, Lions are done. It's supposed to be nice. It's supposed to be nice conditions. It's supposed to be like 70 and sunny there, bro. Yeah, it's going to be great weather. I mean, you got Goff returning back to like California. You got Amon-Ra returning back to California. Like these guys are, hey. And I know you and John already talked about it when my Wi-Fi decided to just go absolutely cousin on me. But watching Jared Goff at the press conference today, man, there was a point where I don't remember who the reporter was, but he got to the point he's like, what is it like with all this pressure going back home? And Goff just kind of stopped me. He's like, what pressure? Like you can, and he said it so nonchalantly. Like it wasn't like he was trying to make a point. He's That's like, hard. What pressure? You know what I mean? That's and hard. Jared Goff is locked in. I think Jared Goff, this is the most like, and I know it's crazy because it's the NFC Championship, but this is the most confident I feel like I've been in Jared Goff all year. It really is, because this is not something that's out of his realm as far as the situation that he's played in. And with Josh Reynolds, him and Josh Reynolds are going to get cooking, I think. Hey, Goff, and you know I'm not a Goff hater, but after the middle of the season, like I kind of cooled off on my Goff love. But yeah, Goff and I'll be honest, hey, we're gonna get things wrong. And for me, like for a while there, it was very simple. Prove it in the playoffs. And he's been balling. Like I can't really,
we'll see. It's perfect conditions this week. It should be. So the offensive line, I said it's going to come down to what they do up front. If they can protect Jared, we know how he plays when he's not pressured. Like, I think they'll have success. I just worry really about the defense. And I think Aaron Glenn's in hitting his – we talk a lot about Jared playing well. Aaron Glenn's been cooking.
He has been.
I think he's going to be fired up for this challenge.
Those safety blitzes, the safeties saved the Lions season last game. I think there's no way if you don't have all four of those guys, because even Kirby, he was obviously the one that didn't make the sack or the interception because Iffy and Branch both had sacks, CJ with the interception, but he had a key pass deflection. If you don't have those four guys, the Lions I don't think are the team that they are because they're so exposed on the perimeter. We already talked about it. They have the guys to match up and create problems in the middle of the field where the 49ers flourish.
Yep. They do. They absolutely.
It's going to be a game. I don't agree with you. I respect it. Don't agree. I don't think this game's a blowout in either way. If the 49ers win or the Lions win, I think it's a close game.
That's me. We'll see. We'll see. All right,
what's the path?
I'll tell you in a second. Goff is a surgeon when protected. He's right. Easy says Goff has been on fire in the playoffs. And Easy, that man, he's being fair.
He's a Goff realist. He's being fair. He's being real.
Justin chiming. He says, I love Goff, but the man can't utilize JMO for deep balls. Well, he hasn't really played like that, at least in the playoffs.
No, he missed them. I believe it was last game against the Buccaneers. He missed them, but he overthrew him. I was like, okay. If you're overthrowing JMO, I'll live with it.
Yeah.
And but I think we talk about Ambry Thomas. Deamnor Lenore is their best cover guy, but he's not a burner. Tre'Davious Ward on the outside can fly, but I think they would be out of their mind and not putting him on Amon-Ra damn near every play. I think they would just be out of their mind.
Yeah, and shout out to Micro Mike, by the way, Lions Talk by Chat Sports. Check his stuff out. You probably already have. The dude's his platform is just he's doing a great job. So appreciate you, Mike, for tuning in. He says Goff making crop circles with his game in the playoffs. I think right now, I think Lions fans are when you talk about like position groups, it's really been like no one's really mentioned quarterback. I think Goff's kind of just like proven that like
the most important position in this game.
Yeah, I mean it is the most important position, but like no one's really being like I'm worried about Goff, which is a good sign. Like the fans
even Orlovsky last week when he had his QB list of the quarterbacks.
Dumbest thing ever.
Baker in front of him. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like I get for matchup wise, but are you really more worried about Baker Mayfield than Jared Goff?
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing on planet Earth. To have a list that's the top 5 scariest quarterback list. I mean, that is dumb.
And
that is dumb.
I would argue that even this week, I'm more worried about Goff than I would be Purdy.
If you're talking about if you're like San Francisco, like if you're picking who you'd
like just being neutral. If I just being neutral, like if I was a goddamn like Steelers fan right now, if I was just like, which quarterback do I think the team should be more worried of? I would pick Jared Goff because he's been there before, and in the playoffs, that is extremely valuable.
The reason why I asked is because the way you said it, when you said I'd be more worried about Goff, I'm like, wait, what? Like,
no, not like a bad way. Like if I'm the like defense, I'm more
fearful of Goff. Fearful of Goff.
Yeah.
As in like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Yeah, like if I'm the 49ers defense, Lions defense, I bet the 49ers are more like, like Goff's coming in here. Yeah. He's like the Lions defense, like, yeah, Purdy's good, but we just got to pressure him and all that stuff. I mean, they're probably like,
because I'm sure there's even a couple mistakes. Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple guys on the 49ers defense who remember that last stint of Goff with the Rams where he looked bad. So they're probably like, they obviously see that he's playing better, but in the back of their minds, they're like, yeah, this dude's probably still ass. Like, we know who he is. And Goff, he has turned that curve, and Goff knows that. Goff remembers how he was the last time he went up against his defense in a big game. He remembers all that stuff.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
I'm excited.
I want to mention. Oh, here we go. This is another comment that we spoke on earlier. The red zone defense being the unsung hero of this run, and you have one of the more efficient red zone offenses in the 49ers. That to me is the matchup. I told you this the other day when we talked about like that's everything. Because if the 49ers are punching in 6 every single time they drive down the field, that puts a lot of pressure on this Lions. And I think they can go toe-to-toe, but man, you got to either force. I mean, punts are hard enough, but 3, you got to keep this 49ers team at least out of the end zone more often than not. Because you're not going to stop them, but man.
No. You got to limit.
You got to limit. You got to limit. That's fair.
And that's where the Debo injury is so crucial, because in the red zone, their whole offense in general is just built for the red zone. But Debo Samuel is built to play the red zone as a wide receiver, because he can take 2 or 3 guys and just drag them 5 yards into the end zone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll probably get out of here. We're 10 minutes over because we just love this. Is so much fun, man. I do. I had a lot of fun today. Shout out to John Maakaron. You can check him out. He's the publisher of All Lions. You guys know who he is. Of course, you follow him on Twitter, Detroit Podcast, and he's the host of the Detroit Sports Podcast. So check him out. Appreciate him for giving us his time. You guys know who we are. Jeff Iafrate, Lukas Klotz. You can follow him. There's our ats right there and right here. Check us out. And don't forget, if you're not subscribed, if you're just viewing because you just were interested, hit the subscribe button, like the stream, because we will be posting every single day, essentially at this rate. Me and Lucas will be out there. We'll be grinding. I want to get Micro Mike on at some point this week, so I'll reach out to him because he is the man. We want to collab with other great minds on YouTube and just the Detroit Lions content creating community, and just keep trying to make great things, man. That's all we're doing. Trying to be great.
I should be able to go live tomorrow night. You want to go down? You'd be down to go live again tomorrow?
Oh, man.
Well, running it back tomorrow night, baby. Running it back.
You bet your ass I'm ready to go live tomorrow.
You do your job, I'll do mine.
Well, all right, everybody. Have a great night. Have a blessed night. We'll catch you tomorrow.
You guys. Make sure you hit the sub.
We'll be live around basically this time. I think 7's the sweet spots. We'll be alive about this time tomorrow. Me and Lukas Klotz. Until then, deuces.
Peace.